Hello, this is Max Boris with Lafayette Lending. Today I'm here to talk to you about building your dream home. Whether you're building for yourself or you're building for a flip, there are certain factors you need to consider to prevent it from going off course. I've compiled 6 things for you to think about when you're building your dream home. First, is carefully select your lot. It's true that a cheaper lot can be enticing, but never compromise your location for the price. Remember, there are reasons why that lot might be cheap, and if you look into it carefully, you may realize that you're going to pay for it in the long run. Social amenities should be considered when selecting your lot. Is it a long drive to the grocery store? Is it close to a highway? How close is it to the nearest park or school? These are questions you need to answer when you're making your decision. Second, work with a professional designer or architect. You've planned and you've made a rough draft of what you want. Now it's time to work with a design firm or an architect to put your idea on paper with scaled measurements of how the structure would look in real life. Another benefit of working with a professional designer is to guide you and provide you with your local construction rules and regulations. For some people, working with a contractor is not necessary, but if this is your first custom build, you're advised to work with an experienced professional to guide you through the design phase of your project. Third, make sure you have signed contracts. You've spent enough time planning. You've selected your preferred home builder, and now you're preparing to break ground. Without signing on the dotted lines, my advice to you is to stop. Never entrust your project to a contractor without signing a contract, even if they're your closest friend or a relative. If you're having difficulty understanding the contract, hire a lawyer to review it. Or if your contractor is reluctant to create a contract, let your lawyer create one for you. Having a written and signed document by both parties can save you a lot of stress if there's ever a misunderstanding. 4 is home inspection. Receiving a warranty from your contractor does not guarantee that your property meets construction standards. It also does not serve as a substitute for a real home inspection, so never skip a home inspection after a construction phase is complete. Hire a licensed, unbiased, third-party home inspector to carry out necessary checks on the new home before you move in or before you move to the next phase of construction. Who knows? The property might be riddled with problems. An inspector would help you detect these problems earlier when they can be more easily fixed, preventing you from spending unbudgeted money later on in your repairs. 5 is experience. Wanting to be your own contractor is one of the many mistakes that first-time home builders make. Doing it yourself isn't a horrible call. It's a way to save money for sure, but it's always advisable to work with an experienced home builder when you're building for your first time. However, if you still decide you're going to try doing it yourself, here's a checklist so that you can just a sanity checklist that you can use to keep yourself from harm. Number 6, prepare for the worst. You might have a plan in place and follow all the rules for a perfect project execution, but it should always be in the back of your mind that things might not always work out as planned. This is where your contingency fund comes into play. Either build contingency funds into the builder's bid or create a separate budget for it. Unlike your typical construction funds, the contingency fund varies and it depends on personal preference as well as your project type. But the general rule for contingency funds that we like to use at Lafayette is that the homeowner should plan for a minimum of 5% of the total construction cost to be unbudgeted. That's just 6 steps for you for building your dream home. I hope this was helpful. As always, reach out to max@lafayette-re.com if you have any questions, and we will see you next time. Thank you.